And it's Kino here. Welcome to the Ashtanga Tune-Up series, where you can give your Ashtanga yoga practice a little tune-up just to make it function just a little bit better. So hopefully your Ashtanga practice will be even happier after this series. Understanding how to get into the asana safely and effectively without damaging the body is really what we're after. So remember, it's practice, not perfection. Always adapt the asanas to whatever's appropriate for our body. Place your emphasis on the spinal extension and articulating each joint of the spine in that extended position. I want you to find the tools to support your practice. And the most important thing is not that you get it right. I don't think any of us ever do, just that you keep practicing. On this path together, we're here for each other. The essence of Ashtanga Yoga is really about creating that space of the lineage, which means that we're embarking upon a timeless quest for things which are hard to explain in words. So let's actually just do the practice and see how that goes. Take a moment in what's called samasthitihi, placing the bases of the big toes together, and let's now find that equal standing, which is what samasthitihi means. The beginning point. Close the eyes for a moment to tap into the subtlety of the inner sensations. Then as you open the eyes, let the gaze rest towards the tip of the nose. And now let's begin to build up to Surya Namaskar A. Inhale, raise the arms. We get a big breath in. Exhale, fold, taking the hands down. Inhale, send the chest forward, big breath in. Exhale all the way back, find your plank, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing, gazing at the nose tip. Today we're going to give a little tune-up to a really important foundational standing pose called Parsvakonasana A position. This extended side angle pose is a perfect balance of strength and flexibility. And if you understand how to work this asana with a keen awareness of muscular activation as well as release, this will set you up for success in so many other deep hip flexion and external rotation postures in the practice. Okay, so let's take a look at this. First, let's start off in samasthitihi, and then traditionally we take a relatively wide step out to the side. So we inhale and step out to the side. As we're preparing for Parsvakonasana or extended side angle pose, we want to think about rolling that thigh bone back. So you can keep your pelvis open, we can keep the rib cage open, then you can fold into your external rotation. The Ashtanga Tune-Up series. Today we're going to be taking a look at Purvottanasana. This is reverse plank pose. It's a wonderful asana that really helps you get that lift from the pelvis. We want to remember that this is a back bending asana, so we want to apply the same principles as back bending. Now, the most confusing part about Purvottanasana is that the shoulders will internally rotate to give the chest space to elevate. It kind of feels like you want to externally rotate the shoulders, but the correct direction, again, is internal rotation. So that's the first thing that we really have to establish. Once the shoulders are really well in place, then we can think about how to lift the pelvis. We're going to roll the shoulders forward, keeping your thighs nice and straight, and then without expanding the chest first, let's send the pelvis forward and up. Once the pelvis is forward and up, lift the rib cage away, and we'll hold for just one breath, 2 breaths, exhale, sink down. It's Kino here. Today in this class, we're going to take a look at half lotus position. And so this is Ardha Baddha Padma Paschimottanasana, just a half lotus position. A really good half lotus position is very important for your Ashtanga practice, and understanding how to get into the asana safely and effectively without damaging the body, while at the same time stretching the appropriate places to stretch, and at the same time having a keen awareness on the inner state of yoga is really what we're after in the Ashtanga method. So remember, it's practice, not perfection. There's no kind of, there's no trophy when you get a good half lotus position. It does make some asanas more effective, but we can always adapt the asanas to whatever's appropriate for our body. And it may change day by day, so don't get attached to any one different version of the asana. Our prepared position is slightly folded forward. So you can think about the angle between your torso and your hip joint at about a 45-degree angle. To inhale, prepare, and then exhale, fold. This class is all about Marichasana A position. There are so many ways to work the foundations of this asana, so let's see if we can get into what the core elements are really about. So Marichasana A involves one hip being closed or like in a half squat, and the other hip or the other leg being extended so that we're going to fold forward over the extended leg. Then the idea with Marichasana A is that your torso slides forward, so we actually move into a hyper hip flexion on the side of the bent knee. Here, this class is all about Marichasana A position. There are so many ways to work the foundations of this asana, so let's see if we can get into what the core elements are really about. So Marichasana A involves one hip being closed or like in a half squat, and the other hip or the other leg being extended so that we're going to fold forward over the extended leg. Then the idea with Marichasana A is that your torso slides forward, so we actually move into a hyper hip flexion on the side of the bent knee. This class is going to take a look at, I'm sure, one of your favorite asanas. We're going to look at Marichasana D. All right, so this is an asana that we just can't dive into enough because there are so many different aspects of it. So one of the things I recommend when thinking about Marichasana D is to break down the asana into its key components. And that's really true with any asana, but especially with this one. So let's start off with the first component. So when you're working your half lotus position, you're closing your knee joint, dropping it out to the side, and then bringing it up. All right, so sometimes what happens when you bring the lotus foot up is that the foot begins to sickle, and then there's a lot of pain in the outer bridge of the ankle, and this is not really where we want to feel the pressure in Marichasana D. So our first foundation to work on this asana is a really comfortable half lotus position. You check in with your elbow. Once you see your elbow has passed the plane of the shin bone, then you can slide it around, reaching your hands towards each other. Here, I'm with Carolyn, and we're going to go through the Ashtanga Yoga practice, the traditional foundation of the primary series of Ashtanga Yoga. This is not a beginner video, nor is this a beginner Ashtanga video. If you're not familiar with the Ashtanga Yoga method, please start off with more introductory videos. However, this practice is traditional, counted according to the Sanskrit vinyasa, and meant to give you the tools of the traditional practice so that you can keep getting on your mat. Let's get started. Samastitihi. Ekam inhale, raise your hands. Dwe exhale, fold forward, go down. Trini inhale. Chatwari exhale, step or jump back, lower down, chaturanga. Pancha inhale, upward facing. Shat exhale, downward facing. Here. This class is all about Navasana. I know it's your favorite pose, boat pose. So I want to break this down because I feel like there are so many ways that we can avoid doing the work and work really, really hard at the same time. And I know there's nothing more frustrating than feeling like you try with all your heart and all your soul and nothing happens. I couldn't do the lift up. I couldn't do Navasana properly when I first started practicing. But more than 20 years later, I can tell you that you can find the way to make your boat finally float.